Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. According to Global News, Ontario's financial watchdog, the Financial Accountability Office, FAO, has released a concerning report showing a significant contraction in the province's job market. In the first quarter of 2026, Ontario's labor force declined by 71,300 people, a drop of 0.8%. This marks the steepest decline in the labor force since tracking began in 1976, excluding the unprecedented lockdowns during the COVID-19 pandemic. The province lost 52,900 jobs during this period, particularly impacting the manufacturing, retail, science, and food services sectors. Furthermore, the youth unemployment rate for those aged 15 to 24 surged to 15.9%. The report has sparked intense political debate. Opposition NDP and Liberal leaders criticized Premier Doug Ford's administration, calling the numbers a jobs disaster and pointing to a lack of affordable housing and support for job seekers. Conversely, the Ministry of Finance blamed the economic fallout on trade disruptions and tariff threats from U.S. President Trump, arguing the report does not reflect the government's long-term economic investments. The Canadian press reports that Canadian Public Safety Minister Gary Antisemitism has rejected a conservative call to split Bill C-22, commonly known as the Lawful Access Bill. The legislation is designed to aid police and intelligence agencies in their investigations. The bill consists of two major parts. The first allows authorities to quickly demand telecommunication providers reveal whether they service specific individuals of interest, while the second requires electronic service providers to develop and maintain the technical means to allow police and the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, CSIS, to obtain communications data. The second section has faced fierce opposition from major tech companies, privacy rights groups, and civil liberties organizations. Conservative Member of Parliament Frank Caputo proposed splitting the bill to allow the less controversial first part to proceed on its own. However, Minister Antisemitism stated that the Liberal government remains comfortable with the balance achieved in the current unified bill and will proceed without splitting it. According to the Canadian press, the annual Global Energy Show is set to begin in Calgary next week, drawing over 30,000 attendees and 500 exhibitors. This year's conference takes place against a turbulent backdrop. The U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran has severely disrupted oil and LNG shipments through the Strait of Hormuz since late February, triggering a global oil shock. This crisis has intensified international interest in Canada as a reliable energy supplier, despite its current infrastructure limits. In response, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's government is actively spearheading a proposal for a new oil sands pipeline to British Columbia's west coast, aiming to submit an application to the Federal Major Project Office soon. Beyond traditional oil and gas, the 2026 event will highlight the role of artificial intelligence and the immense power demands of data centers, which are emerging as a major new class of energy consumers requiring dedicated power generation. According to a report by Global News, Toronto police have arrested 4 individuals in connection with 2 suspected hate-motivated assaults targeting the Jewish community. Chief Superintendent Catherine Stevenson announced the arrests of 2 adult men and 2 teenagers, while revealing that 2 other youths remain at large. This follows the prior arrest of an 18-year-old suspect. The investigation centers on 2 incidents in which visibly Jewish community members were targeted. On April 30, 3 victims were fired upon with an Orbeez-type replica gun from a vehicle. On May 7th, 3 individuals were shot at with a replica firearm outside the Congregation Chassidai Bobov Synagogue. Victims sustained minor injuries. Police allege that these incidents were not random, but were instead deliberately organized and planned. The suspects allegedly coordinated their actions beforehand, with the same vehicle linking the two occurrences. The adult suspects have been identified as 20-year-old Luke Chokhaley and 23-year-old Alishahan Isayev, both facing charges of assault with a weapon and possession of a weapon. The two charged teenagers are scheduled to appear in court in August. According to a report by the Canadian Press, Canada's Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Tim Hodgson, stated that the ongoing crisis in the country's forestry sector extends far beyond U.S. tariffs and is primarily structural. While meeting with provincial forestry ministers in Langford, BC, Hodgson unveiled nearly $130 million in federal funding for 56 forestry projects nationwide. This support comes in addition to the $2 billion already pledged by the federal government since August 2025. Despite these financial backstops, the sector remains at a critical turning point. Over a dozen sawmills have shut down since August, displacing 2,000 workers, while curtailments have resulted in 1,000 temporary job losses. Minister Hodgson released a task force report emphasizing that the most significant barriers to competitiveness are homegrown. These issues include unstable access to affordable timber fiber, regulatory hurdles, persistent underinvestment in manufacturing, weak innovation capacity, and insufficient domestic demand for wood products. Hodgson warned that without immediate, coordinated, and decisive action, the Canadian forest sector faces existential risk, noting that the industry must modernize and transform rather than simply survive on government life support. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.